When you ask questions like that, the interviewer is going to be giving you the answers to what it is that they're looking for. So we've been getting a lot of questions from folks about how you nail a job interview. There's some really interesting research about this, and so I want to give you some advice that I know works based on research and based on experience. And you know that I like to focus on the things that you can control, so understand that you're always going to feel nervous before an interview, and that's normal, but you do not have to let the nerves impact you negatively. So there's a couple things I want you to understand. Number one, preparedness is critical. The more you know about the company, about what other employees have said about it, what the interviewer is like, what their background is, the less nervous you're going to be. So one of the best things that you can do is spend a lot of time researching the company, go on Glassdoor, see what former employees have said about the company. If you know who's going to be interviewing you, stalk the interviewer. If you simply Google the name of the company and job interview, you're going to find a blog or something where somebody's written something. Do your research. Second thing is timing matters. You need to show up early. You never, ever, ever want to be arriving late, so shoot for arriving at least a half an hour early, because study after study also shows, and this is kind of scary, that an interviewer has basically made up their mind about you literally within the first 5 minutes. So that first impression really does count, and the timing matters. This isn't great news, but the other thing that research shows is that when you come across as similar to the interviewer, that is a critical component in the interviewer liking you. That means not necessarily in looks or gender, it means in style of communicating. It means doing research on the person or asking lots of questions so that you find out what their background is and you frame the way that you are describing yourself in a way that's similar. I'll give you an example. I come from a long line of folks in agriculture. My great-grandparents were farmers. My grandparents were Angus cattle farmers. Whenever I'm in front of an audience that is in the agriculture business, I make sure to put up a photo right away in the beginning of the speech and somehow tie it in that I come from an ag family. Why? Well, it immediately establishes resonance because the audience realizes I'm similar to them in terms of my family history, and that increases my ability to influence and be liked by that audience. So that's a really important part, and it also goes back to why the research is super important. We've talked about research, we've talked about timing, we've talked about the fact that you got to find these moments where you can say that you're similar. Oh yeah, I grew up in the Midwest. Oh yeah, I was in the Greek system in college. Oh yeah, I once had an internship selling blah, 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 blah. Ask a lot of questions. Questions that are really good are these. What's the culture like at this company? What do you think is going to make a candidate that you hire for this position successful? What are the core attributes? When you ask questions like that, the interviewer is going to be giving you the answers to what it is that they're looking for. So listen intently and then frame the conversation so that your answers address those particular things that the interviewer just told you. There is some research that says that having a strong handshake is really important because it goes down to the first impression. I often, as I'm reaching, I'd say half the handshakes I do I kind of miss. And I give the kind of weak thing because I'm not paying attention. You know what I do when I realize I've just given a really limp, odd handshake is I go, let's do that again. I didn't extend my arm all the way. They laugh, it breaks the ice, and it's really important in terms of first impressions. Oh, one more thing, and I give this advice in almost every video because it actually works. On your way to the interview, as you are driving there, I want you to think of how excited you're going to be when you get the job offer. That's your anchor thought. That's going to ground you. What are you going to do to celebrate when they tell you that you get this job? Now you're going to use that to manage your nerves. As you walk into the place to do the interview, you're going to say to yourself, I'm so excited to get this job. And then you're going to imagine yourself celebrating. And the reason why this is important to do is because the nerves that you feel stepping into a situation that is unknown, like an interview always is, that is going to trigger your nerves. That's normal. If you start worrying about the interview before you start it, you're going to escalate the nerves. Cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is going to flood into your brain, and that is going to impact your ability to focus. It actually interferes with the functioning in the frontal lobe. And so in study after study at Harvard Medical School, when they taught students to say, I'm excited to take this test, I'm excited to give this speech, every single student who used that strategy performed better, and so will you. And I think you got it. And anytime you start to feel a little nervous or start doubting yourself, just be like, I'm so excited to do this job, I'm so excited to do this job. And you will calm your nerves. And look, you're either going to get it or not. If you follow that advice, we're tipping the odds in your favor. But if you don't get it, it wasn't a fit, move on and go to the next one.